Antonio is one of tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of children who are in this exact situation, who have come across the border alone, without their parents, and been released to a person who, instead of taking care of them, has put them to work. Antonio did not sneak into this country unnoticed. He's not here undocumented in the shadows. He came through a shelter run by Health and Human Services and was released to somebody who said that he would be a sponsor. And instead of protecting Antonio, that man turned around and said, okay, you're 14, but now you have to pay rent. You also have to pay me thousands of dollars in debt. Go get a job. And so Antonio has been working full time since he came here a year and a half ago.
Hannah, a day after your report went up, some Biden officials were grilled over migrant child labor. Here's a bit of that congressional hearing with the top official responsible for placing children in safe homes. Take a listen.
Could the 85,000 number be right that the New York Times has? We don't know where 85,000 unaccompanied minors wound up.
We do not track or monitor.
The answer is no. There are 85,000 kids who came across the border. We don't know. Is that right? Apparently it is.
HHS is not getting a pass. HHS is here. I'm worried about who isn't on this panel and who assigned more than 100 minors, many of whom were migrant children, to work overnight shifts in hazardous conditions at meatpacking plants across 8 states. Your agency or big corporations?
Big corporations.
Hannah, what does HHS need to do to fix this? And to the point you heard there from Representative Porter, who else needs to be held accountable?
What we're really looking at is a system failure, and it's multiple systems. So these kids are being put to work, and they're at the intersection of labor enforcement and immigration enforcement. And the Biden administration, to its credit, after our story came out a month and a half ago, immediately made some changes and said that it would go after corporations and really look at the employers that are hiring these children and putting them to work in jobs where a child should never be, a meatpacking plant. And the other side of that equation is what is happening with Health and Human Services, with the child welfare part of this equation. And right now, there's almost no support for the majority of these children. They're released to sponsors, and that's basically the last time the government checks in on them. And so there's a lot of pressure to ramp up services like legal services, social workers, to send some adults out to check on these kids after they're released and living, in most cases, with people who are not their parents.
Hannah, I've got a minute left, but I want to ask you this week, Iowa's mostly Republican Senate, they advanced a bill to actually loosen child labor laws. I mean, how do laws like that complicate then what we're talking about?
I mean, it's shocking. You would think that in 2023, we would not have a child labor issue in this country. And what we're seeing is a real worker shortage. And the response has been in places like Iowa, Arkansas, there are efforts underway in other places like Ohio to make it so that children can just do these jobs. Why not put a child in a meatpacking plant? Why not let a child work overnight? And it really goes back to the same issue. Workers don't want to take these jobs, and corporations are looking to children.
When the founders were establishing the first iterations of the U.S. government, the purpose of the House of Representatives was proportional representation. It wasn't its only function in the founders' eyes. In the Federalist Papers, JamesMadison wrote that those elected to the House are, quote, to be the great body of the people of the United States, end quote. The Washington Post columnist Danielle Allen has written extensively on the need for House reform, and in a recent column, she points out some key principles that the founders hoped that the House of Representatives would ensure. 2 of those principles were popular sovereignty, meaning that the governance is at the will of the people, and due dependence on the people, meaning that representatives would be beholden to their voters rather than to their donors. Allen echoes JamesMadison's point, quote, the principle of popular sovereignty pointed toward a governmental frame that would flex and adjust with the ever-changing shape of the people. The House was supposed to provide the necessary elasticity, turning over every 2 years and continuously growing, end quote. When the House was established, the founders decided that they would have 1 representative per 35,000 constituents, with each state having at least 1 representative. Initially, the House was designed to have some flexibility. Congress was supposed to grow and reapportion itself as the population of the nation increased and shifted, and it did. until about 100 years ago when Congress capped the number of representatives at 435, somewhat arbitrarily. And despite 100 years and nearly 200 million more American citizens, the size of the House of Representatives hasn't changed. Today, House members represent roughly 762,000 people each, 20 times more than initially designed by the founders. That number's on track to reach 1 million by mid-century. Of similarly operating developed nations included in a group called the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, America is the only democracy that has not adjusted the size of its legislative assembly. We have the highest representation ratio of any comparable democracy by a very long shot. Again, our average number of constituents per representative sits at more than 760,000. The next highest comparable nation is Japan. Their ratio is roughly a third of ours. Danielle Allen lays out key reasons why a bigger House would serve our founding principles better. First, with an average of more than 760,000 people per representative, constituents are almost completely removed from their elected officials, and there aren't enough resources per office to properly meet constituent needs. It's nearly impossible for lawmakers to actually understand the wants and needs of the people that they are supposed to represent, not only because of the sheer size of each district, but because priorities are often dictated by the loudest voice in the room. And with powerful and highly organized political action and lobbying groups, the loudest voice in the room is often whomever has the most money, not necessarily the voice of the people. And more seats means more options, more opportunities for representation, a wider range of viewpoints, and a body that more closely reflects the people it represents. Now, those who oppose House expansion might be, like the founders apparently were, concerned about the capacity of their physical building. But there's also a real hesitation about bigger government. Would a bigger House be able to get anything done? Would it really get us closer to Congress being a body of the people? One thing is clear. By effectively representing more people, elected officials are beholden to fewer of them.
Now to the terrifying moments for passengers on a flight about to take off as fire breaks out on a wing. ABC's Mona Kazar-Abdi has the incredible video. Mona, good morning to you.
Gio, good morning. Panicked passengers caught the whole thing on camera, the crew trying to calm them down while flames shot out of the right wing of the plane.
Just be calm. Obviously, something happened.
This morning, American Airlines is investigating what caused a plane to catch fire. A passenger aboard the flight taking off from Charlotte Douglas Airport Thursday, capturing this video minutes before the plane was set to take off for Dallas. As the plane makes its way down the runway, you can see flames shooting from the right wing. Frankie Leggington was in her seat near the emergency exits when she took this video.
Nobody knows what's happening, so that's the first instinct is the plane's going to blow. So everyone's grabbing their bags, trying to get up and run in the aisle.
Claire Dungeon, another passenger on the plane, recalls the scary situation.
Everyone was trying to panic, but it was like we couldn't go anywhere either. So I think that was the biggest scares.
A spokesperson for American Airlines telling ABC News American Airlines Flight 2288 returned to the gate before takeoff after reporting a mechanical issue. The aircraft was taken out of service for maintenance. And American Airlines also saying in that statement that they apologize for any inconvenience and that all passengers will be compensated. Whit?
All right, Mona, thank you.
We're continuing to follow the developing situation in the African nation of Sudan. Yesterday, President Biden ordered the evacuation of all U.S. embassy personnel amid days of fierce violence in that country. Nearly 100 Americans were airlifted out of the capital city of Khartoum, and for the time being, the U.S. State Department has suspended operations at the embassy. All of this comes after violence erupted last weekend between the Sudanese military and a paramilitary group, both of which have been battling for control of Africa's third largest country. NBC News reports that more than 400 people have been killed across the country in the conflict. Many more have been wounded. Joining me now from London is NBC's Megan Fitzgerald. Megan, how did this evacuation come together?
Well, Ali, what we know is that the U.S. had said days ago that they were deploying U.S. troops to the military base in Djibouti. Now, we knew that they were there for the reason of trying to evacuate U.S. citizens, diplomats, but we didn't know when. Well, this morning, Sunday morning, is when that mission was executed. The president saying that it was successful. They successfully airlifted some 70 U.S. government officials from the capital city. But look, there's still some 16,000 more citizens Americans that are in Sudan right now in harm's way. We know that government officials have told our Pentagon team that right now it's too dangerous to do that large-scale evacuation, but they went on to say that U.S. military is preparing for all contingencies, including a larger evacuation mission. No word yet on when or if that will happen. But what we're seeing right now, Ali, is this mass exodus where other nations are quickly trying to remove their people from this country. The UK confirming that they were able to remove diplomats. We know the Netherlands is doing the same. The French said that they're working with their allies to try and execute these evacuations. Germany quickly trying to get their people out, because what we're seeing is this rapidly deteriorating situation. Now, the Sudanese armed forces and the paramilitary had multiple opportunities for a ceasefire, the latest on Friday when they both agreed. But what we know is that that has not been upheld. We've heard gunfire, reports of gunfire and explosions happening in the capital and throughout the country, where people are in just a desperate situation. They're running out of food and running out of water in many cases. People are being told to stay indoors. We know, as you mentioned, we're talking some 400 people that have been killed, more than 3,500 people that have been injured. The majority of the hospitals in the capital city are inoperable because they've been either without electricity or they too have been bombed. So you got these injured people that, one, can't leave their homes because it's too dangerous, but even if they could, there's so few places for them to get help. A desperate situation that just continues to deteriorate, which is why we are seeing these countries around the world trying to act quickly to get their people out. Ali?
All right, we'll watch it closely with you. Thank you for being with us. Megan Fitzgerald for us in London.